Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater's Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community, just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater's Secret Weapon. And I want to thank you for joining us here on our Sunday night live. We've got a bunch of people on already, which is awesome. And we'll start with the first comment. That not what I wanted to see when I logged in. Ray, hope that first of all, I hope that everything health-wise goes the way you need it to go. Whatever's going on, we're all thinking about you, and hope things go well. Obviously, hope you're able to keep the pontoon, but more importantly, hope that that you're doing well. So, Brock, finally, I came through. Well, I haven't come through yet, but you should be getting something in the mail soon. I finally was able to check that off of my list. Charlie, glad to have you, Hux. Hopefully you can get a couple more runs in up in Minnesota. Ray, same for you. Keep me posted, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, but hope it all goes well. Brian, welcome. Brian from West Virginia with a pontoon up there. But I think, Brian, I remember you said that you were maybe looking again. So always, once you're a boater, you're always kind of looking for whatever the next thing will be. Arcad and Fortuna, welcome. I have not seen that name before, so welcome. Dayson Vacuums, Dave. Hey, Dave, I saw you called the other day, and I called the store. That's the only number that I had, and got the voicemail. So if there's anything you need, just shoot me an email, and we can, because I'm always recording videos, and I'll be out on the water a little bit this week, a little bit next week, but just shoot me an email and catch up. I've seen your name in a couple of the comments, and glad to have you here on the live for sure. Yeah, I knew you had some weather issues up. Ray's up in Indiana, on a lake up there. Matt, Captain Matt, newer to the videos. They're very good. Thank you very much. Matt, you're very welcome. If this is your first live, if anybody's first live, like I talked about in the beginning, just throw your comments, your question in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter. Just put it in the comment section, and that will come up on my screen. I'll go through them just as we go. If anybody makes a contribution or is a member, it'll notify me, and I'll try to move you up to the front of the line. Not necessary at all, but always appreciated. And to show the appreciation, I'll move you up to the front of the line. Yeah, you're very welcome. It's been a long time. It's been on my list for, it seems like months and months and months. And I was like, I just got to get that done. So I hope the sizing and everything is right. Jerry, yeah, that's definitely good vibes. Eric Baker, welcome back. Eric was on the last one. There we go. Our first question here. Matt, you did a video on the best bow riders. You put the SSI Chaparral in the mid tier for a few reasons, but that says a 21. Looked at the 23. Yeah, it's they just do things. They do things a little bit different as far as just the fit and finish. And it's a top tier. It could be a premium. Just I wanted to distinguish. Same thing with Sea Ray. I wanted to distinguish the SSX from the SSI because they do things slightly different on those. So it's a minor adjustment. But in the premium boat category, I would put that SSI either at the bottom of the premium along, and the SPX on Sea Ray for sure goes mid tier. But they do things just enough different. Now the H2O that they used to build is definitely it's SPX level mid tier, but that SSI is top mid tier, lower premium tier. But I really just wanted to make the distinction that they are different boats, and the price point reflects that. With that said, and I released the deck boat version the other day, and one of the first comments was a guy saying, "Hey, I've been waiting for this video." I don't remember his name, but if you're on here, hopefully this is helpful for you. It's why I don't like to rank 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's what everybody wants. So it's hard for me to do it. The categories are a little bit easier, but here's the thing. Just because the brand of boat that I list is number 5 on that list, or in mid tier on that list, or value on that list, it doesn't mean that that's a boat you should never buy. What I want you to understand is that the quality of construction, some of the details, and I need to do a video. I need to get the photos to do the video that's in my head of, let me take a picture of what a canvas cover looks like on a premium boat, and what a canvas cover looks like on a mid-tier boat, and what a canvas cover looks like on a value boat. And here's what you'll see. This is the one that just jumps out at me. Is on a premium boat, you'll see the Velcro is this thick. You'll see some like wool, kind of, like a sheepskin wool. I used to have a vest when I was in elementary school that was a denim vest with the wool on the inside. They sew that on the corners, like where it's going to hit the windshield, where it's going to rub on something, a cleat maybe, and they sew those in on the premium level. On the mid-tier level, they have a little bit narrower strip, not as heavy duty, not as durable. They've sewn an extra piece of fabric in where it's going to run up against the windshield or hit a cleat. On the value brand, it's just going to be a single layer of material of, it's probably not even Sunbrella fabric, which is the better of the fabrics, but single one, drawstring, maybe some snaps, but very little protection around the areas where it's going to wear. That's one little thing that puts them in the different categories. It doesn't mean that you should never buy that boat. That's not the point of it. I just want you to know what you're getting. And then within those categories, I've said it in every video I can, the dealer is the deciding factor for me. If it's Stingray versus Hurricane, I may have rated one higher than another, but it's the dealer in your local area would be the deciding factor. And obviously the price that you can negotiate if that's a difference in there, boat to boat, comparable boat to boat. So I wanted to throw that out there because it's a distinction that when I do those rankings, I probably need to caveat it at the end, or just to so I don't turn people away. Just they're getting an honest review. But I don't want to tell anybody, but don't buy the boat, because there's no boat that I would say that because it's not safe or it's not whatever. So, all right. So hopefully, and yes, so the 23 footer, Matt, it would fit in that same category, because really the interior, the mold is just a couple feet bigger, but the interior, they're using the exact same methods and materials to get to that boat. And the reason they have SSX and SSI is because there's a price point difference. Is they're dropping it down, and the only way they can drop it down in price is by cutting a few things out. Okay. Um, all right. Hey, welcome, Flota P. Paul, welcome for the reading the names. I try to get them right, but welcome. Glad to have you here on the live. Jerry says, can you discuss bottom painting, how often it should be done, different types of bottom paint, general thoughts? Okay, so I can't get into the brands. Like I don't have that level of knowledge on the paint. I can tell you the way it works is probably the easiest way to describe it is like a bar of soap. Okay, so you paint it on. This is the ablative. You paint it on. The key to bottom paint is, yes, product matters, but is the prep. Getting the boat prepped properly, which means sanding it down, getting off the old paint. If it's never been painted before, you still have to prep it. You've got to rough it up, and you've got to do all the things that you've got to do. It's got to be the right temperature, the right humidity. You've got to do it in the right order, and those types of things. But it's going to, as you run the boat, it's going to take whatever's grown on that right there. It's going to slowly peel off. So it needs to be environmentally friendly, but it's going to slowly peel off, just like as you're using a bar of soap. That same concept, but just think about that growth growing on the bottom, and that growth is going to take just a fine layer of the paint off. And so the more you run your boat, the better bottom paint works. If you don't run your boat for 6 months and you go out and it's got a bunch of growth on and you run, well, now it's going to happen. It's going to be like you take your fingernail across that bar of soap and just scratch it out, and it's going to get all, it's going to tear chunks off, and it's not going to wear evenly. So the more consistently you run it, the better. As far as frequency of painting, again, depends on your environment, depends on the water that you're in. The warmer, the less current you have, the more growth is going to happen on your boat. So you probably will need to paint it a little bit more often, being once a year, maybe twice a year. On the other side, if you're a little bit deeper, the water's a little cooler, every 2 years to maybe every 3 years, you can get away with it. And then, the details in the paint are, if you're painting an aluminum boat, like a pontoon or something like that, make sure there's no copper in it. That's going to get little pinholes in. They figured this out over the years. But let's see what else, kind of just in general. You don't want to paint your anodes. You don't want to paint those, because those are you're going to take away the ability of the anode to work. So whoever paints your boat, make sure they know what they're doing, because some yard guy that says, yeah, I can paint the bottom of your boat. Well, are they going to prep it right? Are they going to tape it right and put the lines at the just an inch or two above the water line so it looks sharp? Are they going to know what to paint and what not to paint? All those things matter. And if you're going to do it yourself, make sure you do the research. If it's a boat that is, Jerry, I don't know what you have for sure, but if it's hey, no. Sorry, my dog's eating her dog bed. I thought she was just hanging out with me sleeping. But if it is a cruiser, great. 24, 28 foot cruiser. If it's a trailerable boat, so if it's a bow rider or a deck boat or something like that, bottom painting your boat is gonna limit the resale value. It's gonna bring down the resale value, because if they're typically going to be on a trailer, when it goes on the trailer, they look ugly when they have the bottom paint on. And once you bottom paint a boat, it's bottom painted until you sand that all the way off, and now you've got rough gel coat And so now you've got to do something with that, paint it or prep it, and make it look better in some way or another. But yeah, the bottom paint, it's a continuous every, like I said, 2 years is sort of the norm. Maybe you can get by with 3 years. Some people will stretch it 4, but at that point, it's lost a lot of its effectiveness. So hopefully, Jerry, that helps you out. Let's see if you Chesapeake Bay, brackish water, Regal 28. Yeah. So on a Regal 28, that would be fine bottom painting that. That's not going to be a boat that's trailered very often. Chesapeake Bay, not super deep, but it kind of depends on in brackish water. I would say probably 2 years. Talk to some of your marina mates and see how often they're able to do it, because the current and the depth, things like that. I would go and check out Aaron at Born Again Boating. I think he's done a couple of videos on bottom paint, and it's possible. Boatworks Today, I think Andy might be his name. He may have a video on that as well. He's a gel coat guy, and does repairs and things like that. Hey, no, hang on one second. We gotta. See, she decided to tear the stuffing out of her dog bed. Oh, Molly. Come here, girl. So those are some thoughts on bottom paint, Jerry. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let's see here. Mickey, video is very helpful. Now just decide pontoon or tritune. It's really, it comes down to a couple of things, and how you're going to use your boat is a big one. I think it only makes sense to think about this a little bit when you're buying a boat, is the resale, unless you're somebody that every 2 to 3 years you're going to upgrade or you like change. But resale, the Tritunes are going to be right now, Tritunes with the 150 or more. Those are in super, super high demand. And it depends on your area, that impacts it a little bit, but Tritunes with the larger horsepower tend to be a little bit easier, faster, higher resale as a percentage of the purchase price. Caveat: if you buy a $150,000 Tritune, expect a decent sized haircut in the first couple of years on depreciation. The premium ones will depreciate. The mid-tier and the value ones will. The mid-tier is probably the best. Resale value are going to depreciate just based on condition of the boat. So a few things to think about, but really think about number of people that you're putting on the boat, and weight. Weight's probably a better gauge than number, and the speeds that you want to attain with the things that you want to do. That's going to help guide you. The more weight, the more I lean to Tritune. The more speed, the more I lean to Tritune. The more cocktail cruising, just putzing, the more I lean to pontoon. And but it's a personal preference. No right or wrong there. Yes, Sea Ray is a Brunswick company. Sea Ray's been a Brunswick company since probably the 80s. I did a full video on it, and I've got the date in there somewhere. But Brunswick owns Sea Ray, Bayliner, Lund, Lowe, Crestliner, Harris, Cypress K. I'm forgetting a bunch of them. Boston Whaler. There's probably 2 more that they own, but yeah, they've had Sea Ray for quite a while. But they build those SPXs, the sport boats, the 1921, and I think they do a 23 down in Mexico still, and you can see the difference. There's definitely a difference. Yeah, Sea Ray, Bayliner, Whaler, 13 other boat brands. There you go. So I did miss a couple. Looking at the Sea-Doo Switch, what are your thoughts? Looks like a fun boat. All right, so Steve, I did a video on the Switch before I ever laid eyes on a real one. All right, so I think the video is still probably 80% on. I'm in the Switch owners group, so I see, like I talk about in some of my videos, is I would never buy the first generation of any boat motor, anything in the marine industry, um, because there's too many things you can't test for in the build environment, in the engineering process, even in the user testing. I ran into a boat builder on Tellico Lake last summer. That was the engineers, 4 engineers were out trying to break the boat so they could figure out what do we need to go back to the shop and fix before we release this. Well, 4 guys out trying to break the boat, they can only come up with so many things. They can't go out and use it like a family of 5 is going to use it. They can't go out there and use it like my family's going to use it, or like, 6 guys going out for a guys weekend, or 12 ladies going out for a ladies weekend. They just can't come up with all those scenarios. And so what happens is, in the first generation, they make a lot of mistakes. Some of them are just annoyances. Some of them are, they had some battery issues and some stereo amperage issues that are draining the battery. They had some other little things that were coming up that just, they can't figure everything out. That first year, they get all those warranty claims in. They hear from the dealers, they don't like this. They hear from customers, we don't like that. Second generation, they improve what they can. By the third generation, it's a pretty solid boat, and they'll usually, fiberglass builders especially, will run a mold for 7 to 10 years before they redo it. And those last, 5 to 10 years, the boat's dialed in. I mean, unless it's a major, major mistake in the mold that is very expensive to repair, they're dialed in. So, hey, so with that said, they're going to be in the second generation now. The steering, I don't like it. I'm a boater, and I'm like, I don't want handlebars on my boat. First time boaters, from what I'm hearing, are saying, I love it. It's easy to move. It's easy to dock. I feel like I've got total control. The reverse, the steering, it steers opposite then. So in reverse, if you've run a wave runner or a Sea-Doo, in reverse, if you turn this way, the boat goes that way. It's not like if I steer a boat, if I steer this way and go reverse, my back end kicks out the other opposite way, right? Well, people that are first time boaters, it does what you think it should do. And it's opposite when you're driving a boat or a truck. So that is a good thing. In my mind, I don't like it, but that's a personal preference. Okay. I was disappointed when I was boarding them. The quality, the building block system, like, pretty cool. Put your seats here, lock your cooler in there, adjust this, move that, and you can adjust how you want it. But when you stand on the bow, and I've got an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, when you stand on the deck of the boat in the bow, you might have 2 feet of 2 feet of fence rail up. In a pontoon, you're just standing on the deck. In a bow rider, you've only got a foot and a half maybe of freeboard around the seats, but you're actually sitting down. And when you stand up, you're standing down in the boat. Now you've got 3-4 feet of freeboard. On this boat, if you were to stand up, it maybe came to my knees. I'm 6'2", and it maybe came to my knees. I did not like that. The seats on the bow sit on the floor. So when you sit, you're nice in the boat and secure. But as soon as you stand up, I didn't care for that. I thought the plastic it comes from Jeep, I guess, from the providers that make the Jeep soft tops. I thought that's going to get damaged. That's going to get, as you're run into something or bump into something or anchor hits it or skis or whatever. It seems to me like that's going to be a problem. Although I haven't heard anything in the Facebook group. So here's what I would say. It's not for me. I'm a pontoon. I'm a boat guy. It doesn't fit that for me. I would not have the pride of ownership. But the people that have it, that have been jet skiers, they like the speed, they like the quickness. They seem to love them. So I'm somebody that says, just because it's not for me doesn't mean it sucks. There are some quality issues. I would put it definitely in the mid-level category, maybe even to the value level when you start looking at, all right, what's this thing going to look like and how's it going to hold up after 5 years? There's some things on the construction that I think in 5 years it's going to be worn out a little bit. Again, personal opinion, maybe it's influenced by it's not for me lens that I'm looking at it, but I'm trying to keep an open mind. But there were some things like that I saw. The flooring that's going to break down. The plastic kind of vinyl fencing, whatever, I don't know what you call it. It's kind of like isinglass sort of material. It's a little bit thicker, but I can just see it's going to get damaged. You can't leave them in the water for long periods of time. It even says that in the warranty, which is, tells me that it's probably the modular construction that they have is great. If you run it into the dock, you can just pull that piece and have it plastic welded, I guess, is what they do on the Spark. And they've been doing that for years. They're using the same material on this, but that it seems like there's water getting in from some of the comments. If you leave it in the water, there's water getting in those seams. So if you're trailing it all the time, not a big deal. But those are a few things that I heard. I still haven't run one. People that have run them say they're a blast to run. They're a lot of fun. So I'm still 80% on board with what I said. There's some of the things that I just got wrong in the video. There's a few things that, as far as the performance and handling with the handlebars, that not for me, maybe for other people. So that's about as updated of a review as I can get. If you haven't watched that video, if you just go to my channel, we've got like 400 plus videos now. So sometimes you gotta reaction to the Sea-Doo switch. So this was done a year ago, the first time I saw it come out. And you'll see if you, well, let's see if I can do this without. So if you look at how low that decking is, or how low the fence rail is, it's one of the things that I measure on value pontoons to premium pontoons. There's a 3-inch difference between like a Sun Tracker or a Lexington versus like a Bennington pontoon. How high the rails are. There's a couple inch difference there in some models, and it's a significant difference to the switch. Let's see if I can show the floor. This is the flooring. Yeah, I won't be able to find, but go watch the video. Go watch the video, Steve. I think a few things will jump out that I didn't have a chance to cover today. Got my Bennington because according to your video is number 2. Soon as delivered, Bennington. This is what happens, Ray, when this is what happens when somebody buys a company. So it just happened to Nautic Star. I did the review of the deck boat brands, and Nautic Star was in the mid-tier to value. I couldn't figure out where to put them, but they had been mid-tier clearly, but they've gone downhill over the years since Mastercraft bought them. You would think Mastercraft is a great boat builder, right? You think they would really step it up and maybe even improve it. Well, they did not. They took that brand, and from people in the industry say they just destroyed it. They ran it into the ground. So they sold it to Iconic, which has Donzi and Fountain, and some very well-known brands that have gone bankrupt over the years. And now Iconic has got them. So, and I talk about it with Chris Craft is a prime example of a brand that's gone all over the map. It's a storied brand. You think of Chris Craft, the wooden boats way back in the 40s and 50s. You're like, damn, those things were amazing. But they had some crap years in the 90s. Now they're building a premium luxury, $250,000 for a 20, their launch, their 24, 27 foot launch, 250, 300,000. Construction quality is not, it's beautiful. It's a work of art, But as far as a practical, usable boat, there's some things that that are not great. But there's still, Ray, like I was talking about with the ranking 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so hard to do it because Bennington was up there, but they've done some things that are dropping them down. There's still, if you're buying a Barletta, a Harris, a Bennington, a Manitou, their BRP, they've got that new outboard motor that looks like a stern drive. Um, I'm afraid, and the new look of the Manitous, I'm afraid they're gonna ruin that great built boat because they've changed a bunch of things. And it a new ownership. Oh, we got to have our ideas in there, and sometimes it can improve it. Sometimes it can make it slide. But the reality is, the dealer makes the difference. If you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the dealer in your local area is what I would make my choice based on, not my ranking that it's number 1. I wouldn't buy a number 10, but it's so close in that the quality that the dealer is the one that that really makes the difference. So again, it's, people want them to be ranked, so I did my best to rank them, but there's such a slight difference. There's such a slight difference that there's no reason to be disappointed that you bought a Bennington. You've owned it now for a year. And so you actually know what it's all about. Corey, welcome back. Corey's been on the last bunch of them. Matt, good stuff. Took delivery of 23 Shap this past spring. 23 has some added stuff. The 21 doesn't. That okay. So Matt, you might've been the one that sent me or made the comment about that you have the armrest on the throttle, which seems like a little thing, but when you're running in chop, you're doing water sports, it's nice to have that there where you can control the throttle. Again, a little thing, but it makes an impact when you're out running. Brian, getting to be sad time here. Ordered the aluminum cleaner for the tubes. Marina closed. Oh, they close October 15th, and Brian's up in West Virginia. So yeah, that is matter of fact, I talked to my mom. They're at our lake house in the Ozarks. Her birthday was on Labor Day this year, but so they go down there for 2 weeks for her birthday and invite friends down. But she was cleaning the boat up to get it put away, and she was asking me, okay, now what do we use again? What we got some mold starting. What do we use on that? How do we put it away? So that was kind of funny to have that conversation, but it's going around, unfortunately. Sustainability, welcome. Sustainability's got a Bennington as well, a Q. First couple times out, reached 50, but agree, a season in the water, the growth has robbed me of 8 to 10 miles an hour. Yeah, it is. The best thing I could recommend is and here's what happens. The growth cycle goes, as the water gets warmer, the growth increases. So I wouldn't pull my boat in July. And I think you're in the Midwest somewhere, sustainability. I know you've told me before, but to pull it in July and power walk, just take it all off. Like right after the weather has started to warm up and the lake warms up, and you've got a month and a half of growth, take it, spray it off, you start again. And now in mid-July to end of August, when the lake is the warmest and the growth is the most, you've only got a month and a half of growth on it versus the 2-3 months of before that. But yeah, it will slow you down for sure. It seems like there's no way a little bit of growth, but yeah, it definitely does. All right, good. Gary's good. Tritunes all the way. I think that was meant for who asked the Tritune, Mickey. Yeah, that's sustainability is he's got a big old horsepower on there too. Maintenance question for you. Better to do outdrive service, replacement of fuel, water separator, oil, impeller in the fall or spring? All right. So Corey, there's a couple thoughts on this. The first is gear lube. And it depends. I'll say this. My caveat will be if it's a carbureted engine or not. So here's the for doing it in the fall. If there's water in your gear lube, if there's water intrusion in the oil anywhere that you didn't catch, you'll drain it all out and you'll find it. If you wait until the spring to do it and you're in an area that freezes hard, there's enough water, there's enough expansion, could crack your gear case. It could crack your block, potentially. Okay. On the flip side, if you change everything in the fall, and you do this specific to engine oil, gear lube, I would say do that in the fall. There's really no downside to doing it in the fall. You start clean, you get any water out, you find out if there's an issue. But if you've got a carbureted engine that you're going to fog and you change the oil and then you fog the engine, well, now what you've just done is you've introduced contaminant into the oil. So you start off with dirty oil on day one. Now, if it's fuel injected and you're not doing that, then you're fine doing everything in the fall. Make sure that there's no water in anything, get everything cleared out, new fuel water separator. And I would do all that in the fall. The carburetor and the fogging is that may make sense to do that oil change in the spring. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Hey, did you get that? All right. Give me just a second. My dog is insistent upon eating her bed even after I put it up. Come here. Hey, Sarah. Will you take Molly? She's eating her bed. All right. Sorry about that. That's I thought she would do good sitting in here for a couple hours, but I guess not. All right. So hopefully that, Corey, all made sense to you. With the caveats in there. There's always very seldom a direct, yes, this works for 100% of people answer, especially when it comes to maintenance. What do I think about Silverman? I know they're older. I am not familiar with that brand, Timothy Jones. Welcome. I don't recognize your SIL. Let me know if that was a misspelling there, because when I type in Silverman boats, it's not coming up. Maybe Silverton is what you meant, but let me know. Ron, just to comment on last week's comments on the price of fuel. Last weekend, took my 4 grandchildren out Lake Huron, 6 hours, anchored at a sandbar, had a swim, picnic, tubing, 4 hours, 20 gallons of fuel, $120. Yeah, pretty cheap. You try to take, I've got family of 4, right? We go putt golfing, $100. We go to, like we like to do, we went to the Paula Deen axe throwing thing, and we went to Dolly Parton Stampede, and, we'll do go-karts. You're looking $200 to get a family of 4 to do some of those things. So spending 6 hours with the family for $120 is pretty affordable. When you look at fuel, for sure. Thanks for adding that. Looked at your Boat Buyer's Toolkit, First Time Boat Buyer Academy. Information was invaluable. We bought our first boat, 1969 Cutter, 20 foot, which I think was manufactured by Brunswick family, powered by Merck. Thunderbolt, 40 hours on it, complete rebuild. Both boat and motor are mint. Think you'll see a lot of, Ron, I think you have sent me a picture of that boat, if I remember right. A lot of boats come on the market this year. Yeah, I'm now that we're after Labor Day this week, I will be doing my market update report, and updating that, making some comments on the people that are first time boaters. They tend not to understand the importance of maintenance, and sometimes there are some deferred maintenance items. It's why I talk about this in some of the used videos that I've done. Like, if you're buying a pre-owned Bayliner or Tahoe or something in that value category, you really got to make sure that you check it out good, because Sometimes maintenance isn't done because it doesn't fit the budget, because they're first time. There's a lot of first time boaters. They don't really know what's required and what's not. And all of those things come into play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Brock, always wanted a Scout till I looked at a few. They ride great. Access to the bilge, other items very limited versus Sportsman. Yeah, it's really interesting, Brock. You obviously know I've done my center console best and worst, and I've got the new one coming out here soon. But it's really interesting that people were they couldn't believe I had Scout where I did. They thought that should have been a premium brand for what they charge. But and I sold them. I sold them for a while. So I've run a good number of Scouts, and there's a few things that are important, and things that are important that you don't even know until you are a year into owning the boat. That, yeah, you getting access to things in the bilge, and to, turn the seacocks on and off, and to, change out the pumps and the strainers and the whatever, all that stuff makes a huge difference. So, let's see, Matt, when I compared the IO to the Outboard, I noticed the 23 only comes with the max 250. IO is 300. What's the reason for that? It's the strength of the transom. So, strength of the transom and the weight differential. So with the stern drive, you've got a lot of the weight inside the boat. When you put the Outboard on, that weight is all on the transom. So again, the SSX probably isn't limited to a 250 because they build the transom thicker. It's more stout. It can take up to a 450 maybe. I don't know exactly what Chaparral's putting on them, but it has to do with the weight placement. Probably not the total weight, because I don't know that a Mercruiser 5.7 is, or whatever their 300s are now. I don't think that the weight is more than probably a couple hundred pounds more or less one way or the other. But 2/3 of that weight is in the boat on a stern drive, with a third of the weight hanging off the transom below the waterline, versus the 250 max totally hanging off the transom, and putting all that stress throughout the whole transom, and the turning and everything. So that would be the reason why it's that way. Fuel injection, yeah. I would say do them now, and I really don't see a downfall. Make sure you treat the fuel. Make sure that you anything else. Yeah, disconnect the batteries. I've got videos on winterization on the channel that you can check out, maybe. And I've got one for outboards and stern drives. So you can see that's the outboard one. There's a stern drive one too. I don't know why that's not popping up. There we go. Winterization on stern drives. So you can check that out. You're very welcome. So this is a video that tips for cats on boats. I hope you guys watched that one. It started out to be just a kind of a prank video after I made the tips for dogs on boats. But let me know what you guys think about it, if you get a kick out of it like I did making it. Cannot go wrong with the Bennington. Don't feel bad compromising top line models, oftentimes difference. Yeah, for sure. Think there's 300 option for the IO 6.2. So, all right. Well, we are at, let's see, outboard comes. Yeah, the outboard. So I think I answered the question that Matt asked. So hopefully that's right. All right. Well, we are coming up on 45 minutes here. I know this is our first football weekend, so I know I'm competing against Sunday Night Football. Unless you're Brock, where you've got Sunday Night Football on the big screen and we're down on the laptop, which is a great way to do both. So I assume that's still your system this year. So let me do, if you've got more questions, throw them in the comments. I'll come back. I'm going to just do my quick little promo here, and then we'll come back to the questions. So if you're, somebody mentioned it, about the value of the value of the toolkit. It's totally free. Boatbuyerstoolkit.com. You can pick that up. It is 20 some pages, and it's just packed with checklists and things like that are helpful to keep you on track so you don't miss something, especially if you're new. The Boater Bootcamp, if you are a newer boat owner, even if I've had people that said, hey, I've owned boats for years and years and years, and I still learned something in the boot camp. It's a 3-part video series, again, totally free. Yes, after you get it, I'm going to make an offer for you to buy something. If you buy it, I very much appreciate it. You're going to get a ton of value. If you don't, that's okay. You're still getting the freebie. There's no scam. There's no shenanigans. You still get it. It'll be emailed to you. Just log in and you can get access to it, download it, print it, watch the videos, whatever. So those are all the free things. If you are the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, if you just want a little bit extra help, guidance, there's 400 plus videos on the channel. Watch all of them. They're all free. But the First Time Boat Buyers Academy, it's condensed. It's a little bit more concise. I don't have to try to get YouTube to show my videos and, make it entertaining. This is straight information that you need to know as a boat buyer. And if you're a new boat operator and you're struggling with docking, with tying it up, with operating your boat confidently and safely and easily and comfortably, the best boat captain on the water will fix that. We have over 1,000 people that have invested in it this year, and we've got a pontoon version. Bestboatcaptain.com. That program is awesome. Tow water sports with confidence. Learn to ski and wakeboard the easy way is coming soon. That one's not ready yet. Tow water sports with confidence is a great program. I took my kids out and show you what you need to do. There's just been too many accidents, especially with tubing. Matter of fact, I think I mentioned this last week, at my brother's 50th birthday party 3 weekends ago, in Nebraska, there was a girl there that at her lake that they live at, somebody was killed tubing because they just didn't know what they were doing. Confident Coastal Boater is being shot finally. I think it's 100%. Just got a text from the captain again yesterday on the 21st and 22nd. So that's coming soon. Trailer Like a Pro. If you struggle at the boat ramp, that program will fix that. And as always, everything comes with my Happy Boater 100% money back guarantee. If for whatever reason you're not happy with it, I have some people that bought the Best Boat Captain and they had twin engines. I said the twin engines isn't shot yet. I haven't completed it. Gave them a refund and said when it's ready, come back. Or if you just want to keep this program, and I'll give you the twin when it's ready. But I don't want to mess with anybody being upset. Just money back, and I'll move on. So that's that. Let's see what's rolled in since then here. All right. Did that. 4 bits. Looking for a great build quality in a flybridge pleasure boat to charter out of NYC this spring, then take her to Miami in the winter to charter to the Bahamas or further. It depends on what size you're looking at doing when you're chartering. Do you want big cockpit space? Are you buying new, or are you buying pre-owned? Hopefully, I assume that you have your ticket, your OUPV at a minimum, probably with that boat, probably your master, so you can take more than 6 people out paid. In the US anyway. In the Bahamas, I don't know what their rules are there, what they need. But I know, especially in South Florida, they're cracking down on the charters that don't have a real legit U.S. Coast Guard captain. But as far as the type of boat, fly bridges, they start getting over 40, 50 feet, and I don't have a ton of experience, but also the year that you're looking and what specifically you're looking for would be valuable there. You might, if you're going used, you can check out the how to buy a used cruiser, 24 to 40 foot. There'll be some valuable information in there. I assume if you're looking to charter a boat that size, you probably have a pretty good bit of knowledge around boating. So I would just say hire a surveyor, new or used, doesn't matter. Hire a surveyor because they will find things that even a most experienced boater won't, and it'd be money well spent. Yeah. Right. Try. I didn't mean to have to defend sarcasm. Sarcasm's hard to get in the comments. So here I was like, oh shit, I pissed Ray off. All right. So Ed, welcome Ed. Just to comment, loving the training videos. Actually, took the boat out today and put some of the training to work. That's awesome. So Ed invested in the best boat captain after one of the things that happens. This is technology. I am okay with technology, but I think Ed and I went back and forth on emails. I think we might have even talked. I talked to like 5 people after our Labor Day promotion that were just having a hard time logging in. We had some system issues, so we worked through all those. Ed said, "No, I want to keep the program. We'll keep working." And I'm glad that you're enjoying them and putting them into practice. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. No Sunday night football here. Ravens already played. Creamed the Jets earlier today. My Panthers couldn't quite pull it out this week against the Cleveland Browns. So hope that's not a bad sign. Baker Mayfield, our new quarterback, didn't have a great start to the game. Finished off all right, but Brock, yep, you got the right side of the TV. Bucks and the boys on the other side. How did you become a Titans fan, Brock? I thought you grew up in Maryland. All right, let's see here. Ron says Mercury, 3,500, 4,000. We have a lot of no wake zones. RPM often sputter and stall out, starts right up again. Yeah, when you talk about some of those older engines, you got to find the sweet spot. Probably certainly that's carbureted, but a cool looking boat. Matt, the 250 was a V6, the 300 is a V8. Much extra power as the 300 because it's not just more horsepower. It can also have 8-cylinder 6. There is, let's see, is that on the Chaparral? I think they'll put Mercs or Yamahas on the Chaparral, but there is a good video by, if it's the Merc anyway. Let's see if I can. Family Marine. There's a good video by this dealer up in Minnesota, Family Marine. Tom is the owner up there. 250 verse 300, I think. There you go. He compares the 300, 350, and 400 on the outboards. Does a great job of educating and not selling his brands. He did a video where he was comparing, but that's one that you may want to check out. I don't know how to answer the question. How much difference is it? It's one of those things you really have got to experience it yourself. Will you notice a difference? Yes, in performance you will, especially with weight on the boat. When you move to a V8, you've got more power. I don't know how to answer this one very well. He does a pretty good job in his video explaining the differences. He's more knowledgeable technically than I am for sure. But the power difference, you know what? If you go to, this might be a good thing to do. Boattest.com. They will have some performance. You may have to log in. Yeah, I think it's going to be behind the login wall. It's free, so you can go to boattest.com and log in. But they will have performance reviews where they'll run a 250 and a 300 on similar boats. Obviously, on the Chaparral, it's if you're talking outboard to outboard, you can see the torque curve, you can see the performance numbers at different RPM ranges. But I would assume they'll have it for the Chaparral. That's a big enough brand where you can find that in there. I when I did the review on, I think I threw it away when I did the review on the K2 center consoles from probably a month and a half ago of lives that I told the guy I would do it. I finally got that done, but I pulled up the boat test review to see what kind of performance these boats got. And you can do the same thing and just find a comparable boat. So find a Cobalt, find a Sea Ray, find Regal that has similar motors, and you can see their performance numbers and give you a quantitative comparison versus me trying to verbally explain how much difference you're gonna have. I even when I was selling boats, I always had a hard time when somebody said, "Well, if I move up to the 115 from the 90, what's the difference?" Like, let's go out on the boat and run them. Like that's how you need to compare them. And the boat test performance numbers are the closest thing to actually getting out and running them yourself. For Trailer Like a Pro, should add loading in the dark. Summer's over, need to be loaded before 7:30. Not sure how to find the center trailer. So I saw this on a video. Um, Now let's see. This guy put um, LED lights on trailer bunks. So he put his LED lights. Here we go. This might be it actually. Um, Yeah, so this guy put waterproof LED strips on the bunks. Now, the way he did it is he laid them in the bunks and then he put his cover on, and the cover was clear. I'm not sure if that's how they're doing these or not, but and it wasn't nearly as bright as this one here. It was just like a little thin LED strip. They were RGB and all fancy and stuff, but that might be a way to go. Or just if you've got some sort of light that you can mag, magnetically magnet to the winch stand and just shine it straight down, that'll give you enough light if you're at a dark boat ramp. And yeah, we used to go when I was a kid. We went boating and we would stay. My dad would say, "All right, load the van up, get the boat hooked up." My brother and I would have it all hooked up by like 3 o'clock. He would get home between 3 or 4 o'clock. We would jump in, he would change into his trunks, and we would haul out an hour to the lake. And we would get there at 5, 6 o'clock. We would ski until it got dark, and we always, always, always loaded up at night. And I'm used to doing it, but I don't remember if we did anything fancy. We might have shot the another car's headlights down there, although that can make it hard to drive on too. Um, but those LED lights that might extend your season a little bit. Um, So, all right. Jerry says the best boat captain in the water series, especially the pivot maneuver, building block 8 is itself worth the investment. Yeah, it is. When I sold boats, this is how I developed this whole program of, hey, maybe I can train people how to drive boats. Um, the pandemic hit, and there were all these new boaters out, and I was, the fail videos and the haulovers and all of the just like nightmare stuff going on. And I was like, I was really, really good at taking first time boaters and running them out. And I just the 9 building blocks. I did that, with all of my new deliveries to first time boaters. And that pivot maneuver, I would go around in our marina. We had a T dock, and there was a bank on this side, a little section of dock here, and then the big section of dock. And there was this little area of like, all right, I'm going to show you how to spin it around in this area after we did all the other stuff. And I took him there, and we would spend 30, 45 minutes doing that pivot maneuver. And at the end of it, they were like, holy crap, I can control my boat. Like, I'm not going to get in a situation where I don't have the skills to do it. And it was really cool. And it's why I call it the game changer, is because I keep hearing that over and over and over from people. So that makes me super, super happy, Jerry. Thank you for that. Depending on the gearing of the lower unit, the V8 is going to have a better torque curve versus the V6. See there, Brock, and that's why you get a T-shirt. That and 100 other reasons, but yes, thank you for that. Brock has been a boater forever. Grew up bass boating on a bass boat with his dad. They fish tournaments. He's a 2-boat family. He's got his bass boat for his serious fishing and his club tournaments. That I assume that you're still in the money in a bunch of them, but and also has a 247 Sportsman center console. So he knows his way around. I think most of his own work on them too. Mounted 2 underwater transom lights on my trailer cross members for early morning. Yeah, that's another great idea. 45 to 55. That was on the fly bridge. So 4 bits. Yeah. I mean, for me, well, you know what? The Carver, a friend of mine, him and his wife sold everything. They're, I would say, probably late 50s. And maybe not even that old, mid to late 50s, we'll say. They sold everything. He's got his own business. She was a school teacher or worked at a daycare. He was actually on the U.S. Boat Expo. You can hear the interview, Jim and Stephanie Palmer. But they sold everything and bought a 50-foot Carver motor yacht, and have been taking it up and down the East Coast. And they go down south for the winter. They head up to Chesapeake, Maryland, Maine area where they've got family and kids in the summertime. And they're on their probably 4th year now. And he's had a great experience with that Carver. I've run the boat. And when I went down to visit them when they were off the Georgia coast near Brunswick, and that was a really nice boat. Sea Ray is another one that's hard to beat when you're looking at those on the pre-owned side. Obviously, Sea Ray's not building them anymore. Good deal. Perfect. Switch near your winch. Oh, that's a good idea, having a switch on there. My dad was a big oiler. Okay. Got the Titans connection now. All right, good deal. Thinking of planning a loop trip from Chicago, Mississippi, Florida, East Coast, Great Lakes. Have you ever done that? Have any insight? I don't. I have never done it. There are several Facebook groups on the loopers. There is also an organization that I tried to get them on my US Boat Expo to do an interview, but we weren't able to put it together. But it sort of depends on what you're looking. If you're just looking to have a nice leisurely, roomy run, a trawler is a great trawler or tug, a great non-displacement hull. You're not going to go fast anywhere, but you've got a lot of living space. And then you have to balance size and maneuverability versus roominess and living, whatever you're comfortable with. But again, my friend Jim and Stephanie that are on that 50-foot Carver, it's got a huge salon area, and they went from a 3,000 square foot house in outside of Pennsylvania somewhere to this boat, and they're like, it's been awesome, just the two of them, and they've had their dog Blue. And more recently, they had another dog that Blue passed away, and they had another one. But and then the other thing is kind of knowing where you want to stop. Are you a quaint little town stopper? Are you a big social marina stopper? And so having those kind of plans, but let me see if I can pull it up, what that what that group is. But this Great Loop page is the Great Loop Association, Great Loop Cruisers, and there's one other one. Yeah, there we go. I just had it. America America's Great Loop Cruisers Association is the name of the association. They've got their own little Bergie flags, and you become a member. You get your Bergie when you start, and then when you cross your wake and you do the full loop, they do little celebration with you. And then there's also it just put in Great Loop. The Great Loopers has 23,000. Great American Loop has 7,000. America's Great Loop has 2,000. Great Loop boats for sale. Kind of look at different styles of boats that would work for you. I did. My father-in-law and his buddy, they both have places on Lake Loudon in Tennessee, which you can get down to the Gulf of Mexico. And so they want to run a trip down to the Gulf. And I talked to some dealers that are on the Gulf, the people that I know in the industry, and they said, "Hey, one thing you have to look out for is when you're going through some of the river towns down south, is there'll be guys that sit on the bank in a little rowboat or something. And remember, you're responsible for your wake, right? So they'll sit in their little fishing boats kind of under the overhang in certain tight channels. And they'll sit there, and then they have another man down at the marina where you're likely to stop, right? And so their boat they'll flip it over and they'll lose all their stuff, and then they'll yell at you and know that you caused that. And then they'll have a guy down at the end at the marina that shakes you down for some cash. So my my buddy in what was he in? He's in Kentucky, and a dealer friend that I know down there said, "Hey, just be aware of that." And you really got to look out for some shenanigans, because they see these guys come by all the time on these big boats. Like, hey, we can shake them down. They're older, and so if you are a Second Amendment guy like my father-in-law and his friend, they're like, we'll be protected. But just something to, like, I just thought that was, never would have thought of that coming through on the loop. But those Facebook groups are really good, great place to answer some questions. And the American Great Loop Association, they've got a podcast that's really good for information. They're really good at putting out some information on that. There you go, Ray. That's a good trip. So hopefully those resources are way better than what I shared, but I thought that was a funny story. Exactly what I practiced today. The pivot. That is the one right there. If you know the pivot, you got control of your boat. You can just pay attention to the wind. That's now add wind and current and just see how your boat reacts. But that will, like I said, it's a game changer. Really cool. Done a lot of research on my boat, a lot of other boats. Cool to hear your view like this as well. Yeah, that's Matt. That's one of the things that I really, when I started this a year ago, I think we're probably coming up on my first on a year. Matter of fact, let me see here. Past live streams. When was my first live? Yeah, so a year ago I started. 11 months ago was the first. Well, yeah, 11 months ago was my first live Q&A. These ones were just testing. Hey, what's this live thing? Can I figure it out? So we're coming up on 12 months, and I said, all right, I'm going to do it for a year. Even if I'm just talking to myself, I'm going to do it. But what's really been cool are the conversations we get to have. Charlie's been on, Brock's been on as a guest. Sustainability has been on for months and months and months. Ray has been on since he bought his boat, probably some of the very first ones. And I keep seeing I keep seeing the same names over and over, getting emails from people, and it's really cool that I've built relationships and friendships with people kind of through this crazy thing that I decided to do. And like you said, just talking boats and having fun. That's what it's all about. And hopefully we provide some value for people. So Steve, agree 100%. Pivot maneuver changed my life. That's awesome. Hey, I would really appreciate it. I don't know if you guys have already, but boater, if you just Google boater secret weapon, and if you go down to the review section here on the right, you can see it, and just leave a Google review. That is always very, very much appreciated. There's Charlie. If you've Brian, who's on and has been a long time, um, a long time live visitor. But if you would just leave a honest review about what you thought, if you bought the program, if you've gone through any of my stuff, or hey, the videos were great, the lives were great, all of that stuff really matters. It shows people that, hey, that's part of the reason why I do the lives, is that, hey, this is just a real guy, that it's not a scam, nothing like that. It actually helps. The stuff is really, really good, although it's not the most highly produced information you're going to get, but it improves the skills that you need. So I'd appreciate that. With that, we're over an hour again tonight. I'm gonna have to go back and look what the dates are so we can have a little anniversary party. Maybe I'll do some giveaways and do a few, something special. So anyway, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being on, even though there's more entertaining things with football going on again now. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care, everybody.